Well, thank you very much for hanging in till the end. I hope to make it entertaining for you. I know it will be. But first, before I begin all this, I just want to thank all of you. This is my favorite event of the year because there are so many familiar and friendly faces in the room. It is because of all of you that this work has been successful. So thank you very much for your engagement throughout this project. Throughout the life cycle of the Youth Workforce Program, the last 2 years, these were the numbers that we were able to track from our schools. So over 4,100 students provided industry exposure opportunities. Over 2,900 students participated in industry-related classroom instruction. 75 students placed in paid work experiences. 231 students gained industry-recognized credentials. And 60 Otter County employers registered on the K-12 Navigator. I do believe that our numbers are greater than this because a lot of work happens behind the scenes that we are not aware of, but that's just another product of success. With this. All right, so these 12 schools participated in the county's youth workforce programs over the past 2 years and were engaged in career exploration field trips, classroom presentations, internships, and more. Go ahead, Scott. I'm not going to push that. So the Youth Skills Training Grant, or YST, was the Youth Workforce Program's secondary grant awarded by Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry only 6 months into deployment of the program. The YST program was passed in legislation in 2017 to allow 16 and 17-year-old student learners safe, healthy, and meaningful paid work experience in high-growth, in-demand careers. It is currently the only way to get a 16 or 17-year-old student into hands-on learning at a work site for machining, tool and die, CNC, industrial maintenance, mechatronics, welding, ag equipment mechanic, agronomy, farming, auto body and mechanics, diesel mechanics, and various medical careers. Employers are able to go through an approval process with the Department of Labor and Industry to allow 16 and 17-year-old student learners from any of our participating schools. To date, Otter County has 6 approved YST employers that have went through that process. So students in Otter County are now, that are 16 and 17 years old, can now explore careers involving welding, machining, robotics, and diesel mechanic skills. Just over 1 full year into deployment of the program, a video was created of a student from Henning High School conducting a welding internship at Shoremaster in Fergus Falls through the YST program. As a great testimony of this work, I'd like to share this video with you.
It always works so great when we test it out. I did. I saw it earlier. I heard it. I saw it. You're with me.
While she pulls that up, I'll take the pressure off Sarah. You were in the last breakout, I talked about a story of this student, how he never missed a day of his internship, 4 days a week, working at Shoremaster. The YST program provided him a gas card to help him with that commute. He worked there for multiple semesters, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Hill was the teacher at Henning at that time.
The better part of the year.
Yes, and so the operations manager at Shoremaster told us that.
Dude, I love it. This is like the best hands-on experience you can get before going to college. I mean, I'm taking a step into the manufacturing world. So yes, this is a little different than other welding types, but this is probably the best for me. I'm a fast worker, I'm fast-paced, and also I'm good with communicating with people. So if you can communicate with people and you can work fast and you can stay on track and go as they're going, you'll be fine in this world.
showing that. He's a good kid.
My teacher actually knows the vice president, and he recommended it to me, and then they were like, yeah, we got a YST grant. We're totally welcome for you to come join us. And I was like, yes, I'm 100% down, and it was like probably the best decision I could have done in high school.
Through YST, he was introduced to us, and I wasn't there for the whole entire process, but I did get him on board and everything, and got him with the right supervisor, and like I said, he's doing so great, and he's such a benefit to us in a lot of ways.
This road here is a good road, that's what you want. It's just a solid road straight across.
It's actually cool because like he's been referring his friends. Right now we don't have the spots, but we will eventually. And so he's like already telling the next group, like, yeah, this place is like really cool to work at. So then they want to come. So we got a whole list of people coming next year. So that's awesome. We're really excited about this program. It's really beneficial for the manufacturing world. You know, it shows these kids talent, experience. A lot of times, you just don't, like, you can go to school and it's really good for you, but you don't have the experience piece that you really need, especially production welding. And this shows you, like, actual real-world experience, what you need to be doing, what you should be doing. And it really gets seen on resumes. So it's good to show that kid, like the kids out there, the career interest that they could have. It's great for Artsdale County, and we're still trying to grow. And this is the best way that we can grow that future workforce for this county so we can keep growing.
So to finish that story, Ben traveled from Heading to Curtis Falls 4 days a week, 2 hours a day, didn't miss a day. The ops manager said, we have employees that called and said that they couldn't make it to work because the roads were bad. So then we joked we should have asked the intern to pick up your employees. And it's made work. Who says kids don't work these days? So one of the goals of the program was to help get as many students into career exploration opportunities as possible so that they can find their spark to help define their career pathway. Whatever the method, these are 10 ways to break the ice between a school and a business. All it takes is one email or a phone call to the right person to start the process. "13 field trips were coordinated and conducted within the program by recruiting students from our 14 school districts with an interest in the career pathway dedicated for each field trip. A total of 455 high school students attended the 13 field trips, visiting a total of 33 local businesses. These field trips were intentional about exposing students to the various functions that each industry offers. For example, careers explored in advanced manufacturing would include welding, shipping, logistics, quality, robotics, painting, safety, food science and processing. Areas explored in healthcare include memory, clinic services, emergency department, medical, surgical, obstetrics, long-term care, memory care, housekeeping, maintenance, materials management, nutrition service, patient access, imaging, rehab services, mental health counseling, dentistry, assisted living, and more. We did the same in agriculture, automotive, construction trades, information technology, and business and nonprofit. Students received a tour of each facility, and leaders and staff shared what it's like working at the company and their career path stories. We knew in the beginning, and it stands true now, field trips are the gateway to career exploration. Letting high school students inside the walls of your facility allows them to find that spark to help define a career path. So hopefully by now, you have registered your business on the online directory bridging our schools and employers. The K-12 Navigator is an online directory bridging schools, students, and employers for the sake of career exploration. Ottertail County partnered with St. Cloud's CMMA early in the deployment phase of this program to offer an online directory that created a simple, efficient, and effective way for our schools and businesses to find each other. Employers register on the site to indicate what career experiences they offer students, and in turn, students and teachers have an easy way to connect with those employers for internships, classroom speakers, job shadowing, etc. And employers can also search for school contacts on the site. reaching the parents was an important factor in the success of this program, and we found a way to do it. Over 2,500 residents in Ottertail County with a high school student at home received a 24-page parent guide in their mailbox this last October. Who here received this at your home? Great. With the support of Minnesota Department of Labor and Industries YST program, area businesses, the Ottertail County, this guide was created to provide parents information on the county's youth programs, why career exploration is important, tools to prepare their children for a career after high school, info on careers in demand, educational requirements, our school participants, engaged employers, community stakeholders, and more. If you're interested in picking up a parent's guide today, there are some on the material tables in the back of the room. To bring awareness to high school students on what local career options require a commercial driver's license and how that applies to making a living in Ottertail County, employers stepped up to speak on this subject to high school students. This effort also helped bring teacher awareness to M-State's new CDL in the high school program, which many of our schools quickly picked up. Through the CDL program at M-State, students can now begin the theory portion of the CDL training in the classroom before they turn 18 to speed up obtaining a CDL. In this photo, hard to see, but we have panelists from Vector Windows, Aura Fabricators, and Meyer Towing. Classroom CDL panels took place throughout the country. To help make an impact in the classroom to introduce careers in the trade industry, Hilltop Lumber and Precision Electric and Landscaping presented together in the classroom. Students learned about a typical workday, various skilled trades, challenges facing the industry, and how a high school student can get started in the trades. Our goal for the Youth Workforce Program is always to make sure that our work would sustain beyond the grant-funded life cycle of the program. With this goal in mind, employer guides were designed and accessible to all employers in Ottertail County. The work was done in a manner to guide the schools and businesses on what resources are available, how to find them, and sometimes create our own step-by-step guide on successful interactions with high school students. Oftentimes I would encounter a business that's open to hosting youth for career exploration, but then I would get the feedback, I would host a student, but I don't know what to do with them once they get here. I heard that a lot. And so our goal was to help as many Ottertail County employers as possible through the design and implementation of their own high school internship program. The county invested in our businesses by providing one-on-one consultation across industries to prepare them for a successful and meaningful career exploration experience for years to come. There's now a number of businesses that are ready to take that call when a teacher reaches out to them asking to host an intern. As Ottertail County's grant timeline for the Youth Workforce Program is coming to a wrap, Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry just announced the next round of youth skills training recipients. 3 Ottertail County schools applied, and all 3 were awarded the grant. Congratulations. Congratulations to the high schools of Fergus Falls, Perham, and Parkers Prairie. Could representatives from those schools please stand? Let's give them a round. We are beyond excited for you to continue this work, and I am confident that this work will continue throughout the county based on the engagement that I continue to see between the schools and the businesses. So with that, we would like to invite our panel up. Please come to the front. Thank you for being with us today. These are all individuals that are doing great work in the space of youth workforce. So I think I would like to start. Casey, if we could start with you and go down the line, if you could tell us your name and what business or school you represent today.
Sure. I'm Casey Lindstrom. I am the store manager with Audio Equipment in Fergus Falls.
I'm Ava Longston. I go to Ashby Public School.
I'm Aislinn Cox, and I'm from Fergus Falls High School.
Darren Glenn, Perm, Work-Based Learning Coordinator.
Darren, while you have the mic.
All right.
Can you please describe your involvement with youth workforce navigation?
Yeah, like most probably people getting involved for the first time, just kind of dove into it and learned on the fly. We started out with doing a lot of the field trips, and from the field trips, started to spark kids' interest in what they saw. From there, we had students that would come back, say, from the dental field trip. We had one girl came back from the dental experience, and she says, can you find me something for a work-based learning experience? And because when she went to the dental, she thought there's only two jobs in a dental office, right? The dentist and the hygienist. And so she learned there was so much more than that, from dental therapists to a lot of different positions there. And so we found her a job. She was featured in the front page of the Perm paper because she was doing an internship there at the dental office in Perm, and it was just a great experience. From there, from my role, as that progressed and I became more and more immersed in the field trips and what we're doing, and just started to build really good relationships with the community at Perm and Otter Tail and the surrounding area. So.
Thank you. We can pass the mic to Casey. Casey, can you please describe RDO Equipment's involvement with youth workforce navigation?
Sure. I'll just give a little bit of history. As so many industries are dealing with, we were dealing with just a workforce shortage, particularly as it related to diesel technicians. And so we have a really great Access Your Future program, and we've had it for 10, 15 years with our company. But we still saw a lack of young people even wanting to get into the industry. And it was about 3 years ago, Catherine Anderson, who now Eli Hill has taken over for in Fergus Falls as work-based learning coordinator, had come to me and said, "Hey, would your company be interested in potentially hosting a student?" And that really skyrocketed a lot of involvement, not only with the county. But we'll have 6 high school interns that will have gone through, and not just in Fergus Falls. I have a couple of really great success stories from Fergus Falls, but I've also hosted students from Underwood and Perham. I have a student coming from Breckenridge and from Rothsay this summer. So we just have seen a need for students to get in and understand our industry, and so that's kind of how it started and kind of where we are today.
Wonderful, thank you. My next question is for Ava. Ava, can you tell us about your work-based learning experience? Where did you work, and what was one thing you learned about your industry?
Well, I started this beginning of school year in work-based as my first year. I've learned a lot about it, and I'd say it's probably one of the best opportunities I've had. Not like regular before this, I had no idea where to start and what to get into, but when I had opportunities come around, it showed me a lot of where I wanted to be in life and where to take it. Right now, or at the beginning of the year when I started work-based, I worked for my dad doing sewer inspecting and designing, and we were out all summer throughout the whole thing. And then my teachers got an email and gave me a chance to start working at Shoremaster. So now I'm working in the steel shop at Shoremaster Welding and learning all about it. I've definitely figured out that welding is the career path I want to go down, and I've learned a lot about myself throughout the whole thing, of patience and the effort I'm able to put into things, and working with people around me, communicating with older groups that I'm not normally around, but yeah.
Thank you. Same question for Aisling. Aisling, can you tell us about your work-based learning experience? Where did you work, and what was one thing you learned about your industry of interest?
So kind of similarly to Ava, I was not sure what exactly I wanted to do after high school. I knew I wanted to go to a four-year school, but I didn't know what kind of career I wanted. And I worked with Mr. Hill to try to find a place that would maybe expose me to some things that I was interested in. I knew that I had a little bit of interest in journalism and law and government a little bit, but I didn't know which one I wanted to do, and I didn't know how to narrow down what I was passionate about. So I started my internship experience at Visit Fergus Falls, which is a tourism agency in Fergus Falls. It's a nonprofit, and I got to see what they do there and how they engage people from outside of the town to try to get them to come in and stimulate the economy within Fergus Falls. And from there, I realized that I maybe wasn't as interested in media production and journalism, but I am interested in economic development. So I got in contact with Lisa Workman from the Chamber of Commerce, and I got to spend a little bit of time there as well, learning about what they do for the city. And while I was there, I got to see kind of how a Chamber of Commerce works. It's not something I had been exposed to up to that point, and I got to see how businesses in town work with each other, even businesses that I had no idea existed in town. There are a lot of places that I feel high school students aren't very exposed to on a daily basis. So there were a lot of fields that I got to learn more about while I was working there. And then after I was there, for a very short time, I was at the city of Fergus Falls, working job shadowing department heads there, but mostly being working alongside the assistant to the city administrator, Lynn Olson. And they were able to expose me to how all of the departments in the city government work together, and how economic development is kind of something that everyone contributes to. But then I also, from working with them, learned a lot about how much I love city government and how cool it is that I can be a lawyer and still work in government and work with economic development. So I've kind of narrowed down that I want to study economics in college with a focus in public policy, and I definitely attribute that to my time at the city, learning about what they do there and how city government works.
Thank you, Aisling. Darren, my next question will be for you. With everything that you've learned participating in the program, what's something that you feel is needed for continued success?
Finances. Schools are tightening their belts, as you know, and we went in, you had 33 businesses that were attended. I think a student from Perm Schools, I think, pretty much attended all 33, and we wouldn't have been able to do that, without the, your support and the grant, to be able to do that, to expose our students to, just a variety of these different careers, like she mentioned. There's just so much that they don't know about until they get there and they go into a business and they say, you have graphic designers here, and you have human resource, and you have chemists, and you have so many different positions here that they know about. And I think we're able to do that. Like I said, got to see 33 different businesses this year for our kids, which is awesome.
Great, thank you. So Casey, I'm curious from an employer's perspective, with everything that you've learned participating in this program, what's something you feel is needed for continued success?
I'm just going to reiterate the exposure piece. I think based on the students that I've had come through my doors, I think, and even our two sitting here, that there's a lot of uncertainty about what they want to do, and a lot of it has to do with not knowing what's out there. So I think really doubling down on the exposure piece. And I love to see 3 of the schools in Otter County get that YST grant. My only disappointment there is that I think our smaller schools are missing out. And the conversations that I've had with Pelican Rapids or Underwood, like Rothsay, they just don't have the resources to be able to, devote even a whole staff member to be able to focus on work-based learning. And I think that that's a little bit of a miss. And I think it would be great if those schools, dove in a little bit further into YST. I mean, I've had a couple of introductions to the Breckenridge School, and even my experience in Underwood. There's a lack of understanding of how much YST I think could help those schools. So.
Thank you. Eva, you kind of answered my question, so I'm going to flip it a little. So, you mentioned that you like welding over septic. Can you elaborate on that and tell us how this internship experience has helped to solidify or change your career path?
Well, with the whole septic thing, it wasn't just, being in the field. It was whole, your drawings and your permits, paperwork, whatever schooling that goes with it. Welding for me seems more hands-on, not in a classroom type thing. I mean, yes, there's still classes that come with it, but it'd be something I'd rather do than with the whole septic thing. I just like to keep my hands moving, build things.
Perfect. Thank you, Ava. Aislinn, you did touch on this a little bit, but your interests were pretty varied, focused and varied at the same time. So how would you say that your 3 different experiences interning helped to solidify or change your career path?
So, like I said, I was not 100% sure what I wanted to do for a career, but I knew that I really was passionate about economic development. I don't know why that was something I was passionate about as like a 17-year-old kid, but through my internship, specifically at the city, I was just exposed to a job that I didn't know anything about going into my internship there. And it's not even a job that they have in-house, but working with Bill Sonmore at the city, I learned about the lawyers that they work with, and I had always been kind of interested in law, and having that experience at Visit Fergus Falls, where I realized that I'm not super interested in media production, not because of anything that happened there, but just because I was like, that's not a topic that I think I want to continue learning more about. Having the exposure to, well, this is who I work with from this law firm, and this is how we use a lawyer in city government, and this is how, in the career field that you're interested in economic development, we need lawyers that help draft bond paperwork and do this kind of stuff. So kind of the opposite of Ava, I'm really into paperwork, and I was looking for the way to get the most paperwork in my career. But just learning about who's employed to, not necessarily people they even have in-house, like everyone here has talked about, but who do you work with as a business, and who do you bring in, and who can I talk to even? They connected me through the city with some bond attorneys. I got to talk to them about their career and what they studied in college, and it's nice to be able to just talk to somebody and say, what is this gonna look like for me next year? Like, if I wanna do this as a career, what emails do I need to be sending right now? What do I need to be doing now to prepare for that? And I think there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding that. If you don't have someone in the field who can counsel you, or if your counselors at school don't know a lot about that field, just like we've said, the exposure to those careers has helped me a lot.
Thank you very much. Casey, as there are employers in the audience here and people that would like to get involved in career exploration, what would your advice be to those employers that are interested and maybe haven't started yet?
Certainly making the connection with the schools is going to be really important. But I think for me, my biggest learning curve was being prepared. And I know you said you heard it from a lot of employers too, that, yeah, I have a student, now what do I do with them? And I think being prepared for that is really important. We talked a little bit about, our youngest generation and how we can create a better environment for them to want to stay long term. And I think part of that, and what I learned, and actually ended up developing my own, I'm not going to call it onboarding, but I'll say a development plan, is to set expectations for, what is it to be a good employee? I mean, it's the simple things of showing up on time and doing all of those things that really I have to credit with Catherine and her program that she started. That's kind of where it starts for them. And then what are the other expectations of being an employee of RDO Equipment Company, and what does that look like from taking care of your coworkers and making sure they're safe and all that. So I think setting those clear expectations and having a plan when you get these students is I think is really important, because I think it opens up a lot of communication and growth for them.
Thank you very much. And Darren, what would be your advice to schools interested in allowing students to explore your careers? And I think this is recording, so we will assume that they will hear you when they watch it. And so we might be talking about Rotze, Underwood, Battle Lake, and those schools that are a little more rural and haven't really jumped over that fence.
So I think that that trend is changing dramatically. We just had a work-based learning meeting, was it Dustin, in the fall, and I think Troy and Dustin said that there was about, the last couple of years ago, we had 4 or 5 in attendance, and it was mid-20s this go around. So whether it's half-time, full-time, 1.5, I think you're seeing in schools that the work-based learning title, the role of the coordinator, is expanding. And there's a lot more schools jumping on board because they see the value of it's just not just the kids in the community and the communities of the relationships we always see out there. One of my jobs is to go out and do the checks physically on site with the work-based learning partners. And every time I get I just love this kid, he's awesome. We got more scholarships coming to our schools now because of the partnerships we're making with the community. It's just really good to hear that these kids that, they're not all high flyers, doing the internships at, in the medical fields and things like that. There's a lot of kids that are turning wrenches that are really helping out people in our community. I just was at Perm Trucking the other day, and how's so-and-so doing? You doing a good job? Oh, yeah. You doing all right? Oh, okay. Anything I can work on? No. I just wrote a check out for his first year of diesel mechanics at Staples. So yeah, I'll stick with them, for at least a while. And so they've really built some really good relationships with these kids. So, and my advice to businesses is don't be afraid to, bring some kids on board, whether it be internships, work-based learning, apprentices, those sort of things, and start developing good relationships with them. And my other advice would be for the businesses to not be afraid to bring in some teachers and some adults into your business as well, whether it be through an externship, which is one of the things we put down as far as our grant, that we'd like to see some of our staff go into our businesses and just see what they need, what skills they need, what skills they're looking for, and figure out what they, help them out that way as well. So it's a back and forth. So it's a good program.
Thank you, Darren. Is there anything else that a panelist would like to add to this conversation on scripting? Okay. Well, I'd like to open it up to the audience for questions. I warned our students that they might be put on the spot, so don't be nervous. Right, girls? That must mean that you're all ready to career explore. Yes.
You say you have 6 interns who've gone through your program so far. Of those 6, how many have stayed on to become employees?
So I have 4 that have already worked for me, and I have 2 that will be starting this summer. So my biggest success story comes out of Fergus Falls. I had Aiden Lindgren was a high school intern for 2 semesters for me, and he is now he came back over the summer, and then he's back again right now. He's attending the John Deere Tech program for diesel mechanics over at NDSCS. So. And he's doing fantastic. I always laugh at that success story because he came in as a 16-year-old or 17-year-old and was young and was learning, and you know, you had a few of my seasoned employees who said, "Oh, we got this young kid in here, he doesn't know what he's doing." And you gave him a year, and he's, "Oh my gosh, I can give him any project, and he listens to me." And it's such a good connection too between generations. But and then I have my second high school intern from Fergus Falls. He's going to be starting in the Precision Ag program over at NDSCS as well. So 2 so far. I'm working on the other ones.
In 16-year-old, that sounds like a YST model.
Yes. Yep.
Just like the gal sitting next to you, our 16-year-old welder.
Yes, yes, and so that's really what prompted us to, Aiden was the one who prompted us to get into being YST certified as an employer. And if anybody wants to talk about what that process looks like, it was quite simple for us as an employer. In order for our students to get those extra ability to. For example, being able to use an impact tool versus just a hand tool. Nobody uses hand tools anymore for the most part, so being able to have that 16, 17-year-old being able to use the real tools that they might be using in their trade. We just essentially had to go through and prove to the state of Minnesota that we're a safe environment, that we're making sure that the students are trained properly and are safe.
So through my internship, I am also working with the city to potentially have a flexible internship there this summer. But I'd like to say that even if I wasn't, and I'm not going to be working there really as employee, it would be more of an internship situation. But even if students who go through the program aren't offered a job or offered money for college, I would say that the experience that they get in the internship, especially for me, seeing how all of the departments connect, even though I'm not going to work in every department in City Hall, I now know if I end up working as an economic development attorney, I know how my decisions and my time working with that city would affect every area of their government. So it's not just enriching my career, it's enriching the people around me as well, because I'm creating a more understanding work environment for everybody once I enter that career. So even if it doesn't result in a job, it definitely results in skills that make you a more compassionate employee and a more knowledgeable coworker in the career that you end up in.
Thank you, Aislinn. I want to touch on something Casey said as well. She said they just want to make sure that we're safe, we're providing a safe work environment. Honestly, it is as simple as that. Legislation passed this exemption to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work in these environments. And what's the first thing that I hear from especially manufacturers, maybe automotive, when I say, well, take on a 16-year-old. Oh, no. That's not safe. Well, that's what YST is doing, is ensuring that this environment is safe before that student works there. And that's really as simple as it is. And once that approval is made, you just go about your work. Any other questions? Yes, Lynn.
I don't know if you girls were here when we went through the common myths about young people, but I'd be curious your thoughts and perspectives about some of those myths.
Well, let me just pull them out. Did you remember hearing these? It came at the end of it.
What are the myths?
Which did you find most offensive?
while you're looking for, I'll just mention too, one of the myths is that I need to go to a four-year college, or I can't afford to get trained. One of the things we learned, whether it be through the plumbing, we mentioned the plumbing, students can go, one of the field trips we said, just come work for us. You don't need to know a thing about plumbing, and we will train you, and we'll put you with a master trainer or a master plumber, and you can become an apprentice, and after so many years we can move you here and we can move you here. And I think one of the myths is that you need to have this money and you got to go out and if you want to go into a career tech ed field, and it's just not true. A lot of our kids that are working on the CDL program, same thing. If they're working for a company, and that company, and they've developed a good relationship in the work-based learning program, that company's saying, behind the wheel, we'll take care of it. They're going to invest back in you. Some might say, just sign a contract to say that you'll work with us for a year. That's all we're really asking, which is what they want to do anyways. But once that student and the employer have that great working relationship, and they know you're showing up on time, and they know you're a good kid, and they know you're going to work hard, they will bend over backwards to get you your certification, or to get you a 2-year degree or a 1-year degree, or whatever you need to do financially. They'll take care of you. We've just seen that wherever I go.
I mean, speaking from personal experience, yes, we absolutely back those students financially. We have up to $32,000 that we give to students who go into the diesel program. So absolutely, we'll bend over backwards for employees that we see a long-term potential for.
All right, ladies, if you can give us 1 or 2 sentences each on what you think about these myths, okay? Don't take it personal. All right, first, here's a misunderstanding of youth in the workplace. Youth don't have the same work ethic or communication skills as other generations.
I have heard this, and I've been told this. And I don't believe it whatsoever. Because I've also been told I have better work ethic than most guys that have been around me. And it's just, not a true thing. A lot of people should see how people work in front of them than just start off. Maybe if you're too young, they don't work as well. That's not how it goes.
Thank you.
This one is also I think that work-based learning specifically is a really unique opportunity because there aren't a lot of points in your life where you get to enter directly into the field that you want to be in at the management level and get to see what's going on. Usually you kind of have to go through those growth ladders like we talked about. And I think that students, especially I know I did personally, get really excited about having that opportunity to enter the field